Hi, it's Sam. I'm just here sharing some experiences about esophageal necrosis, along with a few other surgeries that I had to have following my full esophagectomy. I would like to talk about talking today, and I know that sounds cliche, but for me, in my personal experience, there are many days that I don't remember because my surgery was rare, surprising, shocking, and immediate. It didn't happen slowly, it happened quite quickly with no preparation, and that's not a choice we had. So, from point A to point B, point A being my last memory, being wheeled into trauma at my first hospital, and point B being the moment I woke up with a ventilator in my throat. Um, there were days in between that I don't recall. Of course, I mean, I was in a coma for 3 days, but a lot happened in those 3 days. My whole body changed, my bodily functions changed, and when I woke up, I needed to hear it because it was going to be my life for the next year and a little bit. So, when my husband explained that I no longer had an esophagus, I would swallow into a spit fistula, which was right here. This hole actually was an ostomy bag, and they took the remaining good esophagus and made a tunnel that led to the spit fistula. So I had an ostomy bag on my neck for just over a year, and everything I swallowed went into that bag. So when I drank or ate anything, instead of it going down into my stomach, it would go into the bag. So that was something that we definitely needed to talk about. I also had feeding tubes. I had a G tube, I had a J tube. I had no idea what to do with those. And that was going to be my primary and only source of food for the next year and a bit. And we didn't know it was going to be for a year. It was supposed to be a little bit shorter than that. So, talking about how I was going to get my nutrients and how I was going to feed myself and learning these things were important. So, my husband was still explaining all of this to me when I woke up. I also had wounds that I did not have when I went into trauma. All I knew at that point was that I didn't even know what they were doing, but I knew that they had carved something into my sides. And actually, I didn't know that it was my sides. It felt very much in front. And when I woke up, I wanted to see what they had carved into my torso, but it was on either side, actually. So I learned about the chest tubes, and I learned about the feeding tubes, and I had a surgical site tube, the ostomy bag. I had an incision from my breasts to my belly button, and an incision on my back. I called it my wing cut, and then of course I had this long one on my neck here as well. And so I learned about all of those things, and it was important to know what they did so I could be aware of where I was touching and feeling and yada yada yada. Um, talking to your spouse or your family or your caregiver about what happened is important. It'll keep you on the same page. It'll give your mind a break from guessing because you're just so out of it. And trust me, the first time you talk about it, as soon as you get that information, you're not going to retain it. You are going to talk about it again because it's overwhelming and it's scary at first. You have no idea. You didn't go into a situation knowing any of that when it's an emergency. You have no idea, right? So talk to your spouse, your caregiver, your family, whomever is with you. Talk about what happened because it's gonna soften the blow rather than it coming from the nurse or the doctor. You get to hear it from someone you know and you care for and they care for you. It'll be a lot easier. Also, when your surgeon or your nurse does come in and speak with you, you're going to want to ask them about the surgery, ask how long it took, ask all the questions that you're interested in. And if you don't have the energy to, ask your partner, your caregiver, or your family member, whomever's with you, tell them that you want to know, and they can ask the questions and you can listen. But definitely get it out there, because I was interested to know how long I was in surgery for. I wanted to know what they did. I wanted to hear it from my surgeon, because I don't like secondhand information. Even if my source is so reliable and I trust them with my life, I want to hear it from the surgeon or the doctor. And then also ask the questions about your tubes, ask the questions about your incisions, your wound care, everything like that. That's what they're there for. And if you don't want to bother your surgeon about it, you can also ask your nurses. They are there for that. They will be the ones that take care of your wounds from here on out. They'll be changing all of the dressings. They'll be helping you feed yourself until you can do it yourself. So they will have no problem answering all of your questions. You get a day nurse, you get a night nurse. Everyone's great. Also, get familiar with the medicine you're taking. So ask the questions about your medicine. So I was on opioids. I had help from hydromorphone. At first, for my first surgery, it was hydromorphone. I had gabapentin as well to help me with my nerve pain, because when they cut my back, I have a ton of nerve pain on my right side, my right torso. It's still completely numb. It's coming back, but besides the point. Ask the questions about your medicine and ask what your medicine does for you. So I said, what's the hydromorphone for? They said, Sam, this is your primary medicine for your pain. This is what's helping with your pain management. So I knew immediately that was important. And then I would tell them if I was still in pain or not, and they would either adjust the dosage, give me a top up, add something different. So I told them that the pain over here wasn't being taken care of from the hydromorphone, and they said, oh, it sounds like nerve pain. We're going to give you a nerve blocker. You have to communicate with your nurses so you can get the help you need from the medicines they are giving you. Whether something's working well for you or not, talk about it. Okay? And communicating is so important. The nurses cannot read your mind at all. They don't know when you're thirsty or hungry or in pain or not in pain, because you don't want to be completely not in pain, because that either means you are high or there's a problem. Because if you're receiving a little amount of pain meds but you're not in pain, that could be strange. So communicate. Very, very, very important. And then also, if you're open to it, you can talk to a counselor. If you've had a traumatic experience, it is helpful, I find, in my personal situation, to talk to a therapist. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to do so and continue to do so. I have a little bit of PTSD from this. I have some trauma from this, and I'm still unpacking it. It's only January 21st, 2025. This happened early November. I guess we're probably talking around November 15th right now. 2023, and I lived an entire year of a series of traumatic events, and I still think it's really, really important to talk to a counselor, talk to your friends. I'm talking to you right now. I'm getting the word out there. Write a journal. Any form of communication is a good form of communication. Not talking about it and bottling it up and trying to go through this by yourself probably isn't a good idea. I'm not a professional. I'm just a person that has had my own experiences. And I'm here to tell you that communicating and talking about it is good. So keep it up. And if you haven't started yet, please try. I'm here to answer questions, have conversations. If you have any concerns, fire away. I'm here. Just please don't go through this alone. Thank you. I hope you have a great day. Talk to you later.